I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, June the 20th, brought to you in part by Bovolus Vision. Bovolus Vision vaccine gives cattle strong protection against clostridial disease. With the spur adjuvant that always spurs cattle forward and never backward, this also leads to better feed conversion and increased weaning weights compared to conventional vaccines. Also, for every bottle that you buy, it enters you into a monthly drawing to win a free custom-made Greeley cowboy hat. For more information, go to powered-by-spur.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards. Beaver County Stockyards is going to have just a moderate run here this Tuesday, about 1,500 head. A lot of severe weather in that Oklahoma Panhandle over the weekend. Perryton, Texas, which I'm sure you've heard, was wiped out by and large by a tornado that hit late last week there right before the weekend and actually took 3 people's lives. It injured many people. As a crow flies, that's not very far to Beaver County Stockyards, maybe 30 miles over there. But and they had some more weather on Saturday night, but they'll take that moisture in any way that they can get it. But about 1,500 head for their sale this Tuesday. About 300 calves, a lot of 3 to 4 weights. The biggest part of those will be weaned, probably 1,000 yearlings. Be at least 11 loads of 800 to 1,000 pound yearling steers. Be another 4 loads of yearling heifers weighing from 700 to 800 pounds. So they always have a good test of loads of feeder cattle. Be a lot of packages of grazers, and then some lighter than a load feeder cattle that you can put together. Got another small consignment of first calf heifer pairs. The ones they had last week bring over $3,600 per pair. But if you're interested in checking out Beaver County Stockyards, go to dvauction.com. Short bought, and your packers undoubtedly are short bought here. They used up a lot of formulas last week. They've been kind of using a light amount of formulas, about 240,000 per week, which sounds like a lot, but this past week they used up almost 264,000. So if they use up all those, then they're really set themselves up for a higher market. But only buying 61,000 nationwide negotiated, less than 50,000 negotiated sales in the 5 area feeding regions. So they're definitely going to be hungry for cattle. And even though we had the Juneteenth holiday, it might have shut down the banks and the mail and the futures. It did not shut down slaughter. We had a good harvest on Monday, but still we kind of feel like we're into a short week buying for a long week. Packers are wanting to speed up their the chain speeds, before we get to the 4th of July. And not that they can get all this product on the shelves by the 4th of July, but if they empty out the shelves and they empty out their coffers during the 4th week there, they've got to have something to backfill that with. So we're expecting them to be hungry this week, being that they bought so few cattle last week. It's just up to the sellers to kind of hold their ground and see what they can get out of this market. JBS, the farmer's friend, we heard late last week, decided to settle another class action suit against them, and they admitted to ever since back to 2015, they have intentionally limited the supply that they harvested there, and then limited supply on the beef, and also price fixing. So did that since 2015, was able to settle that for $25 million. They're thinking, what the heck, might as well do that. And this does not apply to the other defendants, the other major packers. They were more worried about their reputation, but it appears JBS is not worried, and at this point, who blames them? Not too much worried about their reputation, but every time one of these deals comes up, they just want to settle as quick as they can and go right back to the gouging. But cattle on feed report comes out on Friday. We've been hoping and looking as we're getting about to the time we think we ought to be getting some really bullish cattle on feed reports. We haven't seen the expectations from the analysts that we always put out. That probably would have come out here on Monday, but due to the holiday, we'll get those here a little bit later in the week, and I'll share those with you. But once again, no futures on Monday due to the Juneteenth holiday. But talk about your weighted average for last week's negotiated fed cattle sales out of your 5-area feeding region. Like I said, only 49,400 head sold negotiated in your 5-area. That is ridiculous. We've just about got to the point where we don't have enough negotiated to make a market, yet everybody's concentrated on that market. If we had Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act, it would put a limit on how low these negotiated sales can go and at least ensure us of a market. NCBA has been lobbying against that bill ever since they've brought it to the Hill, and they continue to fight it back. We're continuing to push it. U.S. Cattlemen's Association is dedicated to pushing it, and we cheer them on. But man, it's just getting to where they don't buy hardly any cattle negotiated, and they just want everybody to sign up with them and formula them in. Okay, what's the price going to be then? We've got to have some price transparency, guys. But that 49,400 compares to 95,200 negotiated the previous week, 93,800 the same week a year ago. Your live sales last week for fat steers and heifers on a direct basis out of the 5-area ranged from 180 to 190, which sounds wide, but it's not as wide as it's been this spring. And that would be steady to $4 lower. Your weighted average on live steers in the 5-area was 184.92. That's down 383 compared to the previous week. Now, as a whole out in the country and the northern plains, your market was $2 to $4 lower, from 185 to 190 for the most part. Steady to $4 lower. Dressed from $2.94 to $3 in the beef. Southern plains sold $3 to $4 lower on a live basis at 182. Your dressed range was from $2.87 to $3, very narrow, and like I said, it was steady to $3 lower. Your weighted average on dressed steers in the 5-area was $296.07, down $3.14. In the 5-area, or the 4 of the 5 areas that we get to see information from, Iowa only sold 14,200. Nebraska sold 19,800 negotiated. Kansas only 9,300. And Texas only 6,100. That is a problem, guys. It's a major problem. Nationwide, 61,300 negotiated compared to 109,800 the previous week and 107,100 the same week a year ago. Of the 61,300, 29% of those, which is about typical for the 2 to 4 week delivery. Negotiated grid sales were big, 56,600. Forward contracts, 13,300. And like I mentioned, heavy on the formulas last week, 263,900. That's 15 almost to 20,000 almost higher than a week ago and year ago figures on formula. So if they run themselves out of formula, then they are in a bind. But the cattle sellers got to be keen enough to pick up on that and get some more market position. Since we had a little extra time with no futures, I thought I'd go back and pick up a report that they started putting out a year or two ago that they thought was going to bring so much transparency out, and hardly anybody pays any attention to it. But it's the Net Price Distribution Report USDA puts out, and they come out on Tuesday. This was not for last week, it was for the previous week when we gained so much ground. And the reason I want to give it to you is because it makes negotiated cash look much more impressive whenever we're going up. I always tell you that your formulas and your other ways of selling cattle are always hanging on to negotiated cash's coattails. And this report for the week before last, when we gained all that ground, is very indicative of that. Look at your live net price distribution, and you see the yellow is negotiated cash, by far the biggest volume, and it was near par on your price actually more $2 higher than your par or zero price difference there, and you see that. And I'm going to tell you, your weighted average negotiated live for the week ending June the 12th, negotiated cash was 188.66. If you'd sold them on the formula, you netted 183.98 on the average. Forward contracts, of course, that was a forward deal. Nobody expected the market to be this good, but those forward contracts netted only 173.55, and negotiated grid netted only 178.38. So about $15 a hundred better if you sold them negotiated cash. Of course, that was on the upswing. They'll always come in a week later and kind of pull back up with what negotiated cash is. But you got to be a market maker and not a market taker, guys. You look at your dressed net price, this distribution there, and you can kind of see it's the same kind of a deal, but there's a lot more formula and things on your dress side, of course, than there is on the live. But your net dressed price for the week ending June the 12th was $299.89. Your net formula was $285.46. Net forward contract only $273.04, and net negotiated grid was $285.05. So guys, don't feel like you're falling behind if you're selling them in the cash. You can get the big prices if you sell them in the cash. It more than evens out over time. Now, if you're in some kind of a branded program and they've patted you on the back and told you how good your cattle are and that they're way better than your neighbors, you can believe that. But I just showed you what the net distribution is on those formulas and things, and they don't add up. Box beef cutout values Monday, choice was down $2.95 at $340.14. Selects were down 19 cents at $310.76. Like I said, slaughter started out good, even though it was a federal holiday. 126,000 for Monday, and that's a really, really good start. Talk about what else is going on. Night Latch Group, that's Andy Cunningham there in western Oklahoma. He can help you out with all your needs, risk management and insurance there, LRPs, crop insurance, drought insurance, guys. If you want that, you need to get in and get that, because the sign-up period is happening and you need to get that done right away. Andy would like for you guys to check out the way he uses gross margin policies to hedge your cattle and your corn with one policy there. If you're interested in more of that, go to nightlatch.net. Talk about your feeder cattle prices, your real-time index on DV auction. Late in the day on Monday, sitting at 222.34, and you said, oh, it was a holiday. Doesn't matter. Real-time index put together by DV auction, and it is absolutely the best precursor for your CME cash feeder cattle index you can find anywhere. But that 222.34 based on an 800-pound cash auction steer was down $1.23 compared to the end of last week's trading. Look at your big sales on Monday. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma National Stockyards, 6,100 head. Feeder steers were steady to $2 lower. Feeder heifers were steady to $3 higher. I thought the market might be a little bit lower because of the way the grains advanced last Friday, and we really hadn't seen the results of that yet, but kind of uneven on your feeder cattle. Calves, mostly steady to $2 higher there in a lighter run in Oklahoma City, but a stick-out sale in the city was National Livestock Commission sells 92 steers, weighed 865 at 221.25. Thought that was pretty impressive. How about Joplin Regional Stockyards? 8,300 head. A big run for them again. They just keep having big sales. They're going to have a wean back special on Thursday with another 6,000 weaned and backed, and all of them accredited for that. Most of them be weaned 45 days plus. All their shots, verification on that. Be a lot of those 5, 6, up to 750 pound grazers if you're looking for some of those, and most of those would be true yearlings too. But look at Joplin. Feeder steers steady to $5 higher. And if you watch Jackie Moore on the Joplin video that he puts out, YouTube video, he does a really good job of explaining things from his point of view. He said that the yearlings were higher, but it was on the best ones where we saw most of the gains. And And USDA market news called feeder steers steady to $5 higher, but I'm going to use Jackie's influence and say that was on the best ones they had on offer. Feeder heifers steady to $6 higher, calves lower, steers steady to $4 lower, heifers $2 to $8 lower. Had a stick out sale in Joplin I thought was pretty impressive. 208 head of 957 pound steers bring 213 in Joplin. And next Monday, on top of the Thursday wean vac special where they expect 6,000, they're going to have 10 to 12,000 head on a big yearling special here next Monday. So pay attention to that. Joplin was also your national beef wire stick out sale of the day. Look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central and DV Auction, and Joplin is a DV Auction broadcaster, participating in all these market products here. 582 head of full weight steers, average 460, weighted average price 260.54. That was down about $4.50 on your weighted average from the sale a week ago, and your trend said that. 1,208 head of 5-weight steer calves in Joplin, average 563 with a weighted average price of $250.204, down about $2.30 from a week ago on the weighted average. 531 head of 6-weight steers, average 650, weighted average price $239.35. That was close to steady, only 50 cents per hundred lower than the same time a week ago on the same weights of cattle. 465 head of 7-weight steers, average 749, weighted average price $226.56. That was actually up a little bit, so close in there was steady on your weighted average. And 690 head of 8-weight steers in Joplin, averaged $861 with a weighted average price on all of them, the good, the bad, the ugly, the commodities, and the fancies, of $217.13, down a little bit on your weighted average from last week. Heifers, 562 head of 4-weight heifers, average 460, weighted average price $231.95. That was $8 lower on your weighted average, and that's what market news called the heifers on the calves. 1,019 head of 5-weight heifers, average 551, weighted average price $231.63, down a little over $1, not quite as bad. And 1,185 head of 6-weight heifers, average 652, weighted average price $228.99, over $5 higher than the weighted average on 6-weight heifers a week ago. Talk about some individual quotes from around the circuit. How about Callaway Livestock Center, Kingdom City, Missouri, up in the central part of Missouri there. Jack Harrison sells 60 steers, weighed 877 at $228.75. Another Missouri market. Missouri is an auction state, guys. Gainesville Livestock Auction, another DV Auction broadcaster. They're in extreme south central Missouri. You can not only throw a rock to Arkansas, you can almost just make a long jump over there, guys. But it is a top quote out of Gainesville. 87 steers, weigh 665 at $250.35, way down deep in the Ozarks there, guys. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas, and you say, hey, their sales on Thursday. They always sell cows and bulls and things on Monday, and this time of the year when they're shut down on the Thursday sale for the wheat harvest break, they sell them on Mondays. And this Monday they sold 58 steers, weighed 924 at $228. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.